On today's video, can we restore some life back into this old Mitchell 300 and actually catch some fish with it? Hey there, outdoor YouTubers. It's Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. And today, like I was saying earlier, we're going to try to bring back some life into this old Mitchell 300. Okay? A while back, a friend of my dad's gave me a few old reels that he was no longer using. A few of them were these Mitchell 300s. This particular reel, I believe it to be about 50, 60 years old, something like that. That's just based on, the reels I saw when I was a kid, some of the reels my dad had, that sort of thing. I really haven't looked into it or looked up serial numbers or anything like that. But suffice to say, it's a pretty old reel. But these are excellent reels. There's still a lot of them out there catching fish to this day. And, I kind of want to make use out of it. All right? I've said this before on several of my videos. If I don't sacrifice function, I kind of like to use some of the old stuff once in a while. Okay? So I kind of wanted to get this reel rolling, but there was one problem with this one. Okay? The bail would not close automatically. You'd open the bail, you'd go to crank, and you could kind of hear it trying to engage for the bail to shut, but the bail just wouldn't go. Okay? Now, most of the time, at least my experience has been, you've got a broken bail spring, okay? And kind of the good thing about that was, in the box that my dad's friend gave me with these reels in it, there was some spare bail springs, okay? So I'm like, hey, I'm good to go. I got some spare bail springs. I'm going to fix this dude up, right? So I opened it up, okay, and got at the bail spring, and there really didn't seem to be anything wrong with the bail spring in this one. I was actually pretty surprised. I really expected to see a broken bail spring when I opened this up, but there wasn't, okay? So then I thought, well, maybe I'll just kind of lube it up with a little bit of grease, and kind of keeping with the antique theme, I did have this old tube of grease, okay? Probably about the same vintage as this reel, so I thought that'd be appropriate. So I put a little bit of this in and around the bail spring, okay? So anyways, I did all that, and I was still having problems. The bail would not shut on its own, right? You'd crank the crank, and the bail wouldn't shut. So I thought, well, maybe I'll come over to the other side. Maybe I've got a lubrication problem here. So I pulled this screw off, and it didn't seem that bad. I did give it a little bit of my antique lube here. But I did notice when I had this screw off, I did actually kind of open the bail, and then I flipped this lever that actually allows the bail to shut, and it seemed to work fine if I didn't have this screw in place, okay? And the more I kind of got to looking at it, it actually just kind of looked like this side of the bail, okay, was just not lined up right. Like this whole bail kind of got bent at one time, and there was just a lot of friction on this side because it just wasn't really lining up right. You kind of had the edge where it screws onto, and the bail was kind of screwed down kind of at an angle. It wasn't nice and flat against it to where it would have good pivoting movement, okay? So I just kind of eyeballed it up, and I kind of bent it so it seemed to be a little bit more where it should be, and lo and behold, that did it. Okay, it just turned out to be the bail was a little bent up, and now it's working great. Okay, so I'm definitely going to be utilizing this reel. So, an old reel like this, we want to couple it up with maybe a little older rod, you know, kind of an age-appropriate rod, you know, make it look aesthetically correct, right? And I had just the rod for the job, okay? This rod right here, this is an old Fenwick rod, and I do have a pretty good timeline history on this. This rod is right around like 42 years old, okay? And I know this because when I was about 10 years old, I made this rod. I took a rod making class and made this rod, and it's really been a really cool, good rod over the years for me. It's a Fenwick blank. It's got the nice cork handle, stainless steel reel seat, you know, it's held up great over all these years, ceramic guides, and it's just been a real nice rod for me over the years. A long time ago, I actually caught a 42-inch muskie with this rod, okay? Yeah, there's an extremely younger version of me there in the picture. And I also caught a 10-pound walleye with this rod, which was really cool. So, anyways, I've always kind of made use of this rod. I've had, you know, more modern reels on it over the years, but I thought it would be pretty cool to couple it up with this old Mitchell, okay? And what I'll be doing with this, you know, like I said, if you don't have to sacrifice function, I do like to use some of the older stuff. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I don't want to take this old Mitchell 300 and I don't want to cast crankbaits for 4 hours with it, okay? You know, the gear ratio leaves a little to be desired, okay? The reel itself it's a little bit heavier than some of the nice modern reels that they make today. So I really don't want to cast crankbaits around with this all day, but I will use it for certain live bait situations, okay? You know, maybe just even bobber fishing, you know, where I'm not burning crankbaits back all day long. I'm just casting out, leaving it sit, waiting, that sort of thing. This would be a great reel for that sort of thing. Maybe some other live bait rigging situations it would be fine for, you know, where you're casting things out, leaving them set. And of course, some trolling situations I may use this. This would be a totally awesome reel for certain trolling situations that I like to do. So I'm going to couple it up to this rod, and we're going to go ahead and put some line on it. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is get this monofilament off this reel. This monofilament might be 60 years old too, so we're not going to go with that. I'm just going to rig this up for bobber fishing. Alright guys, well there's the setup. That feels good, you know. You never know. We might get another 50, 60 years out of this reel, right? You never know, okay? So I guess the only thing left to do is to take this baby out and see if we can get some fish on it.
It's just a nice one. That is a Jim Dandy. Mitchell 300, still getting it done.
Well, there you have it, guys. Okay, the old Mitchell 300, it's back in business. Alright, hey, remember to hunt, fish, laugh, repeat. This is Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. Hey, thanks for watching and God bless.